record on my computer. Hi Fiona.
Hi Holly, how are you?
I'm okay, thank you. I'm just turning my volume up. I'm okay, thank you.
Is it good? Is it just the two of us again today?
So yes, Liz is on a research trip for a week, so doing things with the art doctors.
Nice one.
Oh, I love your hair as well. Did you have it done today, this morning?
Yeah, I've just had it done, so it's a little bit. Yeah, I've been out in the wind as well. It's quite windy here today, so I'm quite pleased with it. She's taken quite a lot of length off, and yeah, she did what I asked her to do with the fringe, so I can't complain.
I started about 15 minutes ago, and I've just started by using newspaper and just experimenting with each object at a time. So very controlled chaos today. But what materials have you got with you today, Fiona? I think you're muted as well, sorry.
I liked the marks that the bottle caps made last week around the edges. It's thing, and it made kind of like tire tracks. So I've got another couple, and I'm going to try and create a thing where three of them are rolling together. So I'll put something through them to kind of see if I can't create something with that. And then yesterday, I finally opened these kind of copper botanics that I've got. So the flowers themselves have gone into a little kind of mini tubular vasey thing that my dad got me, and this is like copper. So I'm going to maybe do a bit of printing with it, but then also I'm quite excited to use the edges. I think it'll create quite lovely pathways and things.
Hi.
So those are my two new ones. Oh, and also sponge with texture on this side and smooth on this side. And there was one other thing. Oh, I know what it was. Toothbrushes. I cleared out my ever-growing wash bags. Oh, I've got a bit minging actually now that I've just looked at it. I need to clean that before I use it. Anyway, toothbrushes. So I'm gonna try and do some marks and sprays and taps with the toothbrushes. So quite a lot today for me. A lot of new things.
Oh, exciting.
I'm going to set myself up, and I'm going to use a large sheet of acrylic paper this week because I've been working on quite thin pieces of paper, like in the recycled stuff last week, and then those things called the flip chart sheet the week before that. So I'm now going to go back to a more sturdy acrylic sheet today. Pardon me. Right.
Today I've got quite a lot of newsprint, so I'm going to be making some slightly larger pieces, but again changing the shape of it a little bit. So hopefully that turns out well. And fold over a corner of my piece as well, just to make some interesting kind of printing marks as well. Here, Fiona, just folding it over in different kind of directions, and then there we are. Just folding it over in different directions and making some different kind of coloured printing marks in the different corners of the work.
I was paying attention to what you were saying about the corners and how that important that is to you on knowing when a thing's finished. And a couple of things that I was working on this week, and I was like, and I need things in the corner. What's going on with my corners? I suddenly started paying attention.
So yesterday I actually was using large kind of collage backgrounds, so packaging, bubble wrap, newspaper, brown paper, envelopes. And I've done it for a Leeds Art Gallery response to a Natural Encounters exhibition, looking at like the landscape and the idea of recycling. So at the moment, that is a big part of the stuff that I'm looking at. So these workshops have actually really helped me in terms of thinking about different materials that I can use. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah.
No, I quite like this newspaper. Another sheet of this because it's turning out quite well. I quite like the text in the background and then the idea of creating over it and kind of disguising what's already there and hiding it and layering up with new things. So
I've recently, am I on mute? No, as recently as yesterday, I took possession of some of my dad's prints that he had donated to the place that I used to work at, and I'd asked if I could get a few of them back because I thought they're sitting doing nothing, and they're going nowhere at the moment, and I think I might like to appropriate some of my dad's work and use it like either as a like collaging or using like stripping it and then weaving it into something. And I haven't spoken to my dad about this though, Holly, and I don't know how he's going to feel about me ripping up his artwork for my entertainment. So in terms of us discussing, you know, like reusing things and things that have already got a journey and things that have already got a story, I'm sort of very clear in my mind that I'm doing this from an entirely positive sort of space, and I'm just a little unclear how best to present this to my dad, that he will understand that I'm doing this for, you know, sort of the best of motives, and not to just rip his artwork up.
no, I feel like work going on a journey and having a history before to you, and then you're repurposing it and transforming something different is really interesting.
Yeah, yeah, and as I say, I just the prints have been there for a while, and they're not doing anything, and they're not likely to be doing anything for a while now. Right, so what I'm, so I think I'm just was like, I could use those at the moment. And also, and this is slightly selfish, they're all mounted. So I've honestly, I've managed, well, not managed, they've given me back about 15. So there's all these mounts, and I think, God, I think, what can I do? I could actually put those to very good use, repurposing them, and we'll see. So at the moment, I'm using a bit of card, and I'm creating some shapes just by using it as a kind of a print.
Okay.
And do you know my lovely little library card that I've been using, like using a lot? It's finally kind of packed in, and I've now moved on to the large library card. So now I officially don't have a library card. I'm going to have at some point go in and say, oh, I've lost my card to art. I've lost my card to art.
Yeah.
From one art form to another.
Yeah.
That's a bit of repurposing as well, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely kind of using the things that you've collected or things that you've found and then just giving them a totally new purpose or challenging what we normally associate them with something else.
Mhm.
Do you think your dad is going to be on board then with the idea? I hope he is. I hope he is.
Yeah, I don't think that he'll hate it. He might be puzzled by it. He might be puzzled by it. But I think if I can produce like an end, yeah, I think if I can produce an end piece that is understandable to him, that would work. My dad's a very much a landscape artist, and he works in pastels, and everything's quite bucolic and pretty and representational and very sort of real. Yeah, there's a tree and it looks like a tree, and there's a river and it looks like a river, and yeah, and it's beautiful. My dad's stuff's absolutely beautiful. But it's not what I'm planning on doing with it. Right, so I've laid down some kind of line things to be working with. And now I think I might try and create my bottle top.
Do you feel like limits or constraints as to how far you can go with the work? That's quite interesting, the way that you've approached and added the tape to the work. I quite like it.
Let me see. Are you going to fold it?
I'm thinking of folding it. Yeah, at the moment I've just done some printing, so I've just done some on some white card, and this has actually just been created just using these two tennis balls. So one on string and then one without. And yeah, a mixture of bouncing and rolling it around. So I'm thinking now of doing some printing. So folding it maybe in different angles and seeing what I can create.
Seeing what turns up. That sounds good.
I think art style is very unknown as well. You know, it's quite experimental, and you sometimes do things and you don't know exactly how it's going to turn out. It's a nice.
See that. That's where your youthful memory will come in handy, because I quite often play about and go, oh my god, that was amazing, that's brilliant, I love that, and then I'm like, how did I do that
again? Yeah, I often look back at my work and try and copy some elements from different pieces, which I shouldn't really do, because I feel like this activity is quite unique, and the whole point is you can't recreate these marks again in the same area. So I think about but yeah, no, it's quite improvised and very experimental. So it's a nice surprise when things do work out, and you look at it and you think, oh, that really works. But then that is to know when to stop adding more, and I can't.
Yes, no, I'm a bit. When do I stop? When have I? Oh no, I've broken it. Start again. So I've now got a very nice range of plastic, Holly, because I know that acrylic is not good to be going down our drains.
No.
So I'm excited. I am so excited for this. Look, I've made it. I made my thing. Got 3 lids. I'd like more, but I'm just being impatient to finish the milk. So now, whenever we come, anything that comes, I don't know if I told you this, anything that comes out plastic, then flat, I'm just kind of saving it and then using that as my palette, rather than having to sort of empty any acrylics down any wasted acrylics down the sink. Not that I waste many acrylics, I've got to be honest with you, but it's also easy on the washing up.
No, at the moment I've been saving um, cardboard tubes, so different things like this, just to make some really different marks as well, and just see what else I can add to them to make
Mhm.
maybe using rubber bands as well. But they could make some nice kind of uniform marks, and it reminds me of using the comb as well, creating very controlled forms onto the work, and it kind of
Mhm.
works well, when you're using things like this to make direct marks, printing, circles or lines in response to creating more abstract backgrounds in terms of flicking paint or dabbing it or bouncing a ball.
Mhm.
It kind of, yeah, I think it works really well together. Although it is more about the process, but I do think it also looks good together as well.
Mm.
Have you had any?
It is part of the process, but it's also part of the end piece. So
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Have you had any thought about getting any more ready mix paints or anything? Have you had a look at new paint
yeah,
selection?
I think about it all the time.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Have you had any luck? Have you got any yet? Or
No, I haven't got any yet. I think though I have had a look around here and there, and I think I agree with you that oh, where did you get yours from?
Baker Ross?
Baker Ross. I'm gonna do a Baker Ross order. Because they've also got some other nice bits and pieces in Baker Ross.
Yes, yeah, they've got a lot of very different crafting things. They've got loads of nice canvases and sketchbooks and everything. So
Yeah, yeah. And I'm gonna when it's and also at Baker Ross they have that long roll of paper, like almost like the newsprint. So I'm going to treat myself to one of those. I actually treated myself yesterday to a 12 color set of Sharpies.
oh, very nice.
So they're coming in. Forgot to take my bangles off. What did he? Oh, covered. Right, I'm going to sort this out because if I get that off while it's still wet, it'll be better than it's.
Right, so at the moment, I am just experimenting with my brown paper roll as well. So I've just created some coloured um, stripe marks so far. I'm just going to put my brushes back, just trying to make as little mess as possible. I've actually created some different kind of stripy marks. I'm going to create on top of that here.
Oh, nice. Very rainbow.
That on my brown paper, and then I'm going to add some marks over the top of it. So probably using white or black, and I might use my whisk because I've got the whisk again today. And
Uh-huh.
I've got the nail brushes out, and I've got some sensory balls as well that make some really cool prints as well. So I think they're gonna come out again on this work today.
It's all coming out.
Well,
Have you got a dog, Holly?
I don't know. I've got a rabbit, but I haven't got a dog.
Oh, God. I just wondered with all the balls whether it's part of your family home.
No, sadly not. Do you have any pets then, Fiona?
No, no. My husband's quite allergic to cats and any animals with fur, but mostly cats and dogs. And we live in a third floor flat.
Right.
And it's not obviously it's not impossible to have pets in a flat. But it's quite a responsibility. Yeah. Lots of people have dogs around here, so it wouldn't be too bad. I need something in the background of this. I'm making a mess. I'm making a mess today.
I am trying to make today as little mess as possible, but I think with this activity, no matter how much you try and control the mess and how much you're making, I think it just goes to pot.
And maybe it's about releasing that, not being in control. Right, I know what I'll do that.
I've got the white card out again as well. Some printing and different things. I quite like how the texture changes when you start to do some printing. You know, when you start printing from a piece that you've already made. I quite like how it always kind of creates this line texture. You can see the little lines coming through.
Yeah,
Quite like,
yeah.
like it.
And is that from the text of the newspaper?
No, it's from the brown paper. I'm just doing some printing directly from the piece. You know, just holding down, peeling it away. And each time it always has the same line kind of formation. And I've looked back at other works that I've done using this same method, and they're always there. So,
like the imprint of a tree.
yeah, yeah, definitely, exactly like that. They remind me of like veins as well, and it kind of gives me a realistic kind of feel to the work as well.
My son, who lives in Australia, is buying and selling all his Pokemon cards from his childhood. And so I've been kind of sorting through them here and sending some of them over for him to do whatever he wants with. And I'm hoping that there's going to be like, because he's like, some of them are just useless. They're just energy cards, so they're not worth anything as such. And I was thinking, like, when this process is done, whatever's left, and that'll just be getting chucked out. I think I'm going to try and make a piece of artwork with the remaining Pokemon cards.
Really cool. Yeah,
It'll just be like wasted ones, not be sort of any kind of special ones. But I thought I might try and repurpose those in this kind of same way. Oh, this is very satisfying. Very satisfying. So what I've got in front of me just now is a sheet of paper that I have simply been, whatever I've been working on this week, adding just a little bit to here and a little bit to there, depending on what colors I've got and what have you. And at one point this week, I had all my print blocks out. So I have a series of like like the alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, and some prints. So I kind of blocked, so I printed some bits on it. And then I've just finished colouring in all the spaces. So I'm quite pleased with this piece as well, Holly. And it's a combination all the way.
Oh, I like that.
Of various different bits. So I don't think it's finished though. I feel that at the moment, I'm just kind of using up bits of paint. I'm not very good at leaving paint.
Process where you get to the end of an activity and you've got lots of paint left. Sometimes it's just, what can you create with this colours and different things. I think it's quite interesting, although I do tend to not like the pieces that I make from doing that, because by then all the colours have mixed together. For me, I know it's not about what it looks like, but there's something about the colour when I look at the work after, and it either goes or it really doesn't at all. Although the colour isn't directly the key kind of important thing about this activity, it's more the process, the experience, and doing something like this where you can talk about different ideas. But yeah, there's something about the colour when you look at a piece after that you've created, and you either like it and it either catches your eye, or it really just doesn't. There's language that these colours kind of portray that is quite something.
So that's interesting about you not enjoying too many colours mixed together. Because quite a lot of your work is absolutely about mixing the colours.
For me, it's more the way they mix when they're on the surface, rather than
Right.
kind of randomly mixed in the palette and then they're using it. Say if I've got a brush with, I don't know, green paint on or something, and
Mhm.
say dabbing it into some of the white and some of the yellow. Often, if you start mixing more than 2 or 3 colours together, it starts to go a bit funny, and that's more of what I was getting at when
Right, okay, yeah, I understand now. I'm not very good at mixing colour in the palette. You know, if I'm trying to get, say, like colours of faces, for example, I know that you're supposed to be able to get those from the merest hint of a colour, but I'm just not very good at, so I've just made this print on a bit of tissue paper from an envelope,
oh, I like
bubble wrap envelope,
that.
and then, yeah, gone over it like that.
I like that. Really nice.
Yeah, I'm quite liking that. I don't know whether to go over it a second time or not. I don't think so. I don't think so. I'll just try a new piece of paper is what I'll do. Yes, that's what I'm going to do. New piece of paper.
I quite like what we were talking about last week, where we were talking about warm and cool colours and separation in different palettes. That's just um, triggered me to think about that when we were talking about colours just then.
Yeah, you use a lot of warm colours, and I lean very much to the cold colours. Our whole house is cold colours, yeah, greens and blues everywhere. I'm just thinking, and we've got very light, we've got very pale yellows. That's really, I mean, it's warm, but it's a cold warm. And except for our bedroom, it's got a reddish ceiling. Okay, very happy with that. I'm going to put some tracks marks over that as well.
I've actually got as well a layer of newsprint underneath everything that I'm working on. I think I might start working on that maybe in about half an hour or so. I'm just working through all the different materials that I can see around me. So rather than collaging them all together, like you've seen me do, I think last week or the week before, I'm working on them individually today and focusing more on the printing and slightly smaller scale pieces of work for now, anyway.
Maybe they'll all join together later on, who knows?
That would be something really interesting to do, you know, to join the works together after they've been made, rather than kind of constructing a surface to then work on. That could be quite interesting. Joining different spaces together and each individual artwork will come together as one. That was quite interesting way to think about the activity. Right. I might just use my nail brush, I think, to apply the paint to.
Oh my gosh, we are on the same wavelength. I had just gone. I'm going to start on the toothbrush right now. I'm going to use the toothbrush, and I think I'm going to get a new color as well.
going to start pushing, rather than dabbing, just pushing the nail brush from top to bottom, just so I don't add too much of the paint and it doesn't go too clumpy in the middle of the bubble wrap. I'm just going to just push gently. Here I've just added as well some white, so you can see the shade of it kind of turning.
And is that bubble wrap? Where's that from?
I've just got it on a big roll here. I managed to get it from Yorkshire Trading. It's
All right.
It was £1.49, I think. So
very good.
And I also got some padded envelopes from there, and some of the brown paper as well. So I would recommend it for any art supplies, or definitely materials, at least. Definitely materials.
Toothbrush hasn't worked as well as I'd hoped, actually. It's all landed a bit blobby. So now I'm just spattering with it.
Oh, so you're doing a bit of action painting with the toothbrush?
Yeah, and do you know what? I might trim it a bit because it's one of those pointy ones. Let's trim it a bit, see what happens.
Yeah, when I started using toothbrushes, because I got a big pack of them and I thought they'll work really well. For me, the ones that I got were quite small, but they didn't actually work as well as I hoped either. But they were quite small though, so maybe that was the reason. But I am not too sure.
Well, these ones have kind of got, like, they're multi-layered. They're not flat surfaced.
Right. Okay.
No, this isn't. No, not happy with this at all. Not.
I think it's experiment with different materials, because when you're using objects, you don't know how they're going to turn out. It's a very experimental approach to art making.
Absolutely is, and quite often things that I've been excited about haven't worked for me. Between now and whenever it is the end of June, I promise you, I'm gonna try the balls again.
Yes.
Right, okay, toothbrush, that's a no. For the time being, I will stick with the brush thing, go back to my sturdy hairbrush. Right. Yes, it's much more satisfying. So have you got any breaks away planned, Holly?
At the moment, no, not of yet. No, not at all. But I do finish uni the week commencing the 7th of June. So we have presentations and then we finish. So in the middle of June, and then that is it until probably the start of September, maybe the middle of September.
Wow.
Yeah, I spoke to my tutor last week, and she was like, she doesn't know how it's going to be in September. So studio access and everything, it's at the moment a bit up in the air. But
yeah,
summer breaks, as of yet, no, none at all. How about you?
so will you work through the summer?
I'm thinking, yeah. I've done a lot of kind of catering work as well as Friday, so they will be carrying on the craft ones on Facebook, with at least up until I start back at uni. But we're hoping we go in for a day, because I actually haven't seen them face to face. It's only been over Facebook. I was employed by them when we all went into lockdown, and they were looking for local artists to do some sort of workshop every week, just to keep the members motivated and doing different crafts. So I started doing it last May, so a year now. And then we stopped at the end of summer, and then we started again at Christmas.
Right.
Because they got a grant from BBC Children in Need, and the workshops were meant to just last up until that summer of last year. And then they said to me, "Oh, we've got a grant. Could you possibly facilitate or do any more workshops?" And then it just kind of went from there, really.
Brilliant.
So yeah, so it's quite good. It gets me thinking about new ideas as well because I plan all the different activities each week myself.
Right. So will that be over the summer? I missed that little bit.
Yes, yeah. So
Yeah.
hopefully run over the summer, and then I haven't talked to them yet about it, but hopefully I will be able to go in person and have a craft day or half a craft day with them in person. Um,
Uh-huh.
and then I should imagine they'll finish at the end of September when I go back to uni. But again, that hasn't been confirmed yet or anything.
Not set in stone. And is that the one for people with learning disabilities?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
no, it is really good.
And that is rewarding, but really it is the sort of
Yeah.
it would be better if you were there in person and just be able to respond to the emotional aspect of artwork.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I would have loved for all of these workshops to be held in person or something physical, but
Mm-hmm.
it hasn't been possible. So at the moment, any work that I've done in the studio has just been solely just solo work.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about some sort of live painting or collaborative thing where we make a big piece on maybe some large fabric or something, or we all bring an object that we found and then we experiment with that in the space. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, because of COVID, it hasn't been possible.
Yeah.
But that is hopefully what I am going towards, maybe in the final year, something interactive and in person. Because I've got a lot
Yeah.
of documentation with photographs and film with these workshops that I've been doing. Um, so hopefully something in person, something physically in the space together would be real.
Oh, that would be so good. It would be so good. Because art is an interpersonal thing. It's a community. And we don't really have the weather to do things outside, you can plan and then the rain will scupper you.
Oh yeah, definitely. But I have been talking about maybe doing some piece on my own, but going to a location. So going maybe on a walk or maybe on a hill or something, and use objects and different tools around me and natural materials to then make marks on the surface. That is something that I definitely would like to do when we get warmer weather. But this week here, it's just been raining, Fiona.
We've had it's actually pretty today. It's a nice day today, but we've had a miserable few days, Holly. It's just drizzled and grizzled, and it's been cold and it's been windy.
Yeah.
And do you know what though? This time last year, we were all in like strict lockdown, and I loved the fact that we had a great March, April, May last year. The weather was fantastic, and I think it kind of saved us from the worst of the fear. So maybe I'm grateful that we had the good weather last year, I guess is what I'm saying.
I was doing a lot of bike riding and a lot of walking and stuff. So every time we had really nice weather last lockdown, I was doing things. And also, lockdown was a new thing. There was a lot of community projects going on.
Yeah, yeah. And people were trying hard to kind of get on with it, weren't they? Yeah.
A lot of people that I work with started doing different projects, and we've got a festival called Kendal Torchlight Festival.
All right.
Session involving different community groups, and normally we would do something in the centre of Kendal, and there'd be different arts events going on and everything, and we would do some performing. And the group that I volunteer with in Kendal also is for older people but with disabilities. So myself and another local artist do drama, sing and sign, and different art kind of craft workshops.
Mm-hmm.
last year, what we actually did is there was a project called Make the March, and it was for World Environmental Day.
Mm-hmm.
They were asking, there's a lot of things like worksheets and stuff and online activities now, but they were asking everyone to make a mini protester and say what you like about the environment and being outdoors. And it was
Mm-hmm.
a younger age group, but I think anyone could really get involved. And there's a series of online craft videos and tutorials.
Mm-hmm.
And at this place called Ragtag Scrap Store, I think I mentioned about the scrap store last week with where I got my paints from.
Oh yes, 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 yes. Yep, got you.
We were holding workshops in person, just 2 or 3 people were allowed in. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and we made a massive cardboard town, and we had our protesters standing up in there. And we created a film. So, what was released online on YouTube for the Torchlight Festival was a 5-minute film with sound and audio, and they involved loads of different community groups to do different things within that. And it was a 5-minute film from the perspective, so it looked like they were life-size cardboard models walking through the town, and it was really good how they did it. We had a filming evening, and
Sounds brilliant.
it was really fun. And it's certainly a new approach to um, doing something like that as well. Recreating a large event that couldn't be
Yeah.
put on, recreating it in the form of cardboard craft models.
Yeah.
And it was,
In the imagination.
yeah, I mean, I think a lot then of, especially last year, last lockdown, a lot of people using technology, and it was a very new thing. So we were just working out how we can present our work and how we can still connect with people, but from the comfort of our own home or our own surroundings. So I
Yeah.
think even now it's quite experimental in terms of people running workshops and different things, but I just don't think there's as much about it now because we're all used to it. Whereas last year it was a new thing. It was a new.
Yeah. I was quite resistant to, for example, Zooms. I wasn't really, other than my book club one, I wasn't connecting any wider than that. I wasn't connecting with people that I didn't know, that I didn't already know. I wasn't connecting with communities that I wasn't already connected to. And it wasn't until this year, I don't know whether I've told you this, but as we came into 2021 and it became apparent that we have another year of this. This is not going away, that nothing's opening up. There are no music festivals going to happen this year again. There, all of the traditional festivals, that you're talking about, they're all still up in the air. We're still going to have to be thinking about creative ways of being together. And I was like, I need to just widen my community right now, because honestly, I've had enough. I need to see new people. I need more than this.
Yeah.
So these online arts things have been an absolute godsend this year, Holly. Yeah, I think I would have gone into a dark place without this and others. So yeah.
I've already started looking. You know how you're on about Eventbrite and having a look at different workshops? I've actually started doing that, and I've signed up to a few painting workshops
Mm-hmm.
and a few collage, like youth collage events as well. So there's one tomorrow evening, 4:30 till 6. Um, so again, I'm looking forward to that as well because I haven't done many workshops with people that I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Normally been either with uni or me running the workshops or me joining in with people that I already know.
Yeah, yeah.
It'll be a very new experience for me as well. So I'm interested to see how they do it as well. Different
Yeah.
depths of communication and communicating with an audience.
Yeah, yeah, and how you do it. So are you actually collaging, or is it a talk on collaging, or is it like quite a practical thing?
Collaging. So I think there's going to be a talk at the start, and then we've been asked to bring a set materials, kind of different things. So glue, scissors, paints, magazines, that kind of stuff. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm interested to see how it's going to be because I haven't done any of this yet. So I am
Mm-hmm.
quite new to joining workshops in this way. And I've signed up to quite a few actually. So yeah, different painting workshops and a few drawing ones as well.
Oh, good one. And are they all in the UK or are some of them elsewhere?
They're all in the UK at the moment, yeah. But
Mhm.
yeah, I definitely need to widen it and have a look at, even if it's just talks or different things. You know, I think I can learn a lot just doing that search and having a look at, I guess, different art styles and things that I don't normally do.
Mhm. Mhm. And it's just, you know, it's something to do. We can't go out to the cinema. We can't go out to the things, down to the pub and chat with our pals. You know, the things that we used to do. Go out on dates with your boyfriend. You know, it's just like
It's just
brick all else to do. So where's this one tomorrow? What time did you say? 4:30 to?
4 till 6. I need to have a look at a bit more info about it, but it's a youth collage event, so it said 18 onwards. That's what it said on the information. But
Okay.
broadcast from London, it says as well.
Okay. And is it a paid event?
It's not. It's a free one actually. So
Favorite.
if you want, I can send you the info for it as well.
Yeah, I'll have a wee look. Yeah, that would be good actually, because I've not got an awful lot of time to. I'm going to photograph these right now, rather because they're quite thin and wispy.
Tomorrow's event, Fiona, is on Zoom as well, so I should imagine it'll be quite a practical one where they'll have it on gallery view and we can turn our cameras on and everything. So yeah, I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to it. I'll send you the info for it after the workshop if you want.
Yes, please do. Please do. That would be really good. Because I'm quite pressed one way or another. Going for a meeting up with a couple of people later on for a walk.
Okay, brilliant.
And then I've got another workshop, hopefully this afternoon. And then I do pricing at Diggin on a Wednesday evening, except on a Wednesday when I've got book club.
So is this workshop is this as well, Fiona, or is it a different kind of workshop?
Yes, I think I described it to you maybe a wee bit last week. I'm going to just remember like get light on these a bit better. Leslie is an art teacher. Well, I'm going to say she's an older lady. She's probably ages with me, but comparison to yourself, she's an older lady for sure. And she kind of runs a 2-hour session. Sorry, I'm being distracted. There's something being delivered. And I thought it might be yeah, I thought it might be for me, but it sounds far too big for the thing that I'm expecting. Oh my God, what is that? It's huge. What's that? Oh, it's a secret apparently, Holly. Who knew secrets came in such big boxes? Oh, it's chairs, or camping chairs.
Oh dear.
When you're talking, what is that?
Hang on, what is what, honey? What's what? What are you? It's a bed. It's a camping bed. It's Reese's.
Right.
SSE. What else did I say I was going to use today? Oh, yes, I was going to use this, wasn't I? I want something stipply. And I need a very contrasting colour. So yes, I was telling you about Leslie, wasn't I?
Yes. Yeah.
So she runs a 2-hour workshop where she starts off with a little bit of just relaxation and just a little bit of sort of light, gentle focusing exercises. And then she'll do some small exercises just to kind of get you into the flow of whatever her task is going to be that day. And she does a kind of a different thing each week. So I guess I suppose a little bit like you were describing
Yes. Yeah.
with the other workshops, you know, she chooses whether we're going to be doing landscaping, collaging, yeah, and then she'll lead you. There's usually about a lead up exercise and then an actual exercise, and then she will give us some extend, you know, if you wanted to extend it, you could do this, or if you wanted to extend it, you could do that. So it's quite good. Sometimes I follow her instructions, Holly, and sometimes I don't. Go for a wee tangent on myself. But that is a Zoom where, you know, there's like about sort of half a dozen, sometimes more people on it, and there's a bit of chat as you're going along.
Yes, that sounds good. That sounds really
Yeah, and sometimes she puts us into chat rooms. So, you know, it's a smaller group, and there's a bit of chat from that.
I'm just working on my newsprint now as well, so I've just got a large roll of this stuff just all over the table. So I'm just yeah, seeing what marks I can make with this. It's quite interesting because I've been working on this as my base. I've already got accidental marks from other pieces that
Yes, from the previous pieces. Nice one.
so I do quite like this tennis ball. I've got to say, I do like using it.
You're loving that tennis ball. I think it's part of your art family now.
Yes, I do think so too. I mean, I've got a lot of objects that I kind of they're my go-to ones. I know I always say experiment with different objects and everything, but I do have a set of go-to kind of things that I know make really good marks. And I
Yeah.
start working with that material over time, you kind of develop an understanding for different ways to use it, which is quite interesting. You know, developing an understanding over time with an object, so your relationship with that material. I quite like using a lot of white on my works as well to blend and mix colours together.
Yes, I'm using more white of late than I would normally. I if I want more tracks on that. I think this might be done. Maybe some gold flecks would be nice. We'll see. We'll see later. Gonna do some black. I'm gonna bring some black to the table. And circles. There you are. Let's see. Oops. Oh, I've got a really nice bottle top here, Holly, that's got a kind of like an embossed print on it. I think it said PEMO, something like that. And it's making some really lovely marks.
I'll just show you what I've done. So I've been working on a large sheet of newsprint for this next one. So there we are.
God, that is a large, oh my God, that's huge.
Roughly the size of it.
I like the ball marks in the blue. That's brilliant.
Yeah, so I've used a lot of things here. The tennis ball, the comb, the nail brush. I haven't used the whisk yet.
Mm-hmm.
Brush marks. I've used my makeup brush as well, and I've used some pastry cutters.
Mm-hmm.
For this one, I quite like different colours as well that have come from it.
Yeah, there's a really kind of yeah, your eyes are drawn everywhere with it. It takes you in and quite along really nicely. Oh, and the white, yes, I can see the white now as well. Yeah.
Just to blend different things together. I quite like a mix of pastel kind of tones and then more
Mm-hmm.
vibrant effects as well. So
Mm-hmm. And see the red to the bottom of the picture as I'm looking at it, the red slashes, how have you made those? What marks have they come from?
I just used a brush, so I just used this brush here.
Right, okay, yep.
Normal painting and then the painter's brush. Yeah. I think as well the speed and the way that you apply the marks can be totally different. So it's not very controlled. It was just quite a quick gesture. So I think
Mhm.
a nice rush and a nice formation of lines in between.
It's got direction. You can see where it's going from and where it's come from. Yeah.
Yeah, think about speed as well when you're applying the different marks as well. Sure. So I think the speed and the quickness of the work sometimes shows when you look at it after. It
I
doesn't
agree with you. Yeah.
very speedy, very quick.
I'm going to use my print thing now on the edges, which is what I wanted to do with it initially.
I'm just using now the bath brush with some white paint onto some brown paper. But again, I just got this from Wilco's as well, so it's quite a nifty device to use as well.
Oh, lovely.
Just some white paint that I'm just adding to my brown paper now. I quite like the brown paper and then the white and black on top.
A satisfying sound as well.
Yeah.
Talking of sound, your sound is brilliant today. I haven't had to be doing that
Yeah,
on and off mute thing.
you had to mute it as much, have you today?
No, haven't had to mute at all today.
So for this one, I just started by doing a mix of kind of dabs and then just dragging it along the surface. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so already we've got quite an abstract looking piece, I think.
Yeah, it's quite a geographical base that you've laid down on yourself there. There's something, yeah, there's something really quite you could almost kind of see it in terms of yeah, a geography of space.
I've got some black paint here as well that I haven't touched yet, so
Now's the time.
thinking of using the whisk for this as well. I quite like this whisk actually. I do quite like it. It creates some mild spots in comparison to using a paintbrush as well, which is quite nice. And you can do a mix of kind of action painting and then printing with it as well,
Mm-hmm.
which seems to work quite well.
going back to my bottle top tracks. Might be darkening this up too much, but I can always put some white on if I need to. Oh, satisfying.
And this week as well, we've got the gallery wall back up. I've put all of the pieces behind me again, or some of them at least.
Yes. Yeah, they're looking good.
Yours are
Is that one of mine in the background? Yay, good one. I like the one that's what will it be, to the left of mine with all the sort of lines on it. Is that yours?
Yeah.
That one?
No, none of these are mine. They're all works that
Ah.
I have got a lot more down here in the corner, but I thought, oh, I'll just put a few up because I started putting loads up before and they all started falling down. So
Ah.
I'll choose a small selection. So, but yeah, no, it's actually one of my classmates, one of my friends on my course that has done it. So
Nice one.
it was
That is, I like that one. I like that one.
part of our interim show, so we had to work in a group of about 7 or 8 people back before the start of the second term. And yeah, we had to respond to the theme of pandemics in one way or another. And that's how these workshops actually started, by thinking about how artists work during lockdown. And it was more of an experiment just to run a art making workshop. And then, just you just so running something that anyone can join in with, just using domestic objects and found objects from home or from a daily walk. And that's how it started. And then I thought, oh, I seem to be a good response from this, or oh, people seem to like it. So I thought, oh, I'll start running them, and yeah, I'm enjoying it. Definitely, I'm enjoying it. They all get recorded as well, so I can use it for my own kind of reference as well, which is nice.
So you're kind of writing your own essays as you're going along.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's quite good to listen back at the different conversations that we have each week as well. Ideas as well. So no, I think they definitely help in terms of generating ideas in different ways to take the project and my own work as well. So yeah, it's definitely helping me. So yeah, I'm definitely writing a statement in some way, because we have to do like contextual statements and essays and artist statements. So I think it's definitely helping me to kind of focus on the key elements of the practice and the work and the response from other people, for sure.
Yeah. And I would imagine that one of the things that is one of the things that's quite difficult to do during a pandemic, during the isolation, not having to focus on that theoretical side of it must be quite difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I know from a lot of people in my course are finding it quite difficult to motivate themselves. Mainly, it's mainly to do with the motivation. But for me, I've had these workshops and stuff. It's kind of it's forced, not forced, but it's kind of prompted me to do practical work because I've set a workshop and I've set a time in, and I've got like 2 hours to do something within that time, and it's kind of prompted me to do practical work and to use that time to do practical things. So even if I'm not doing any practical work during the week, I've regular contact where I'm still engaging with the work and still doing stuff. So yeah, no, it's great for sure. It's really good as well to see you joining in and see you just enjoy developing like ideas and stuff. And I think you mentioned before about it helping you with other workshops that you've done. It's definitely
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for joining.
You're very indulgent, and if you ever need a Wednesday off, though, just say, Fiona, I've got other things to do today.
I couldn't do that. But no, I see what you mean. I mean, sometimes it's hard depending on what your practice is to motivate yourself to do work, and that is definitely one of the things that people have said, because I think I mentioned that I'm a course rep as well on my course, my fine art course. A lot of the feedback I've had is, rather than accessing information, because a lot of people did struggle at the start with working on Microsoft Teams. It's been more they just struggling to motivate themselves because some people aren't doing things like workshop kind of things. They're doing
Mhm.
solo kind of work, whereas mine is very um, interactive, but in a participatory sense with the audience. So I'm not necessarily collaborating with people; it's more the audience. So that I'm collaborating with. So again, it's just just prompted me to do something within that time. So I think giving myself a constraint of 2 hours as well is a nice way to think about the task and to think about the limits
Mhm.
of the activity and the work and yourself with the work because sometimes it can get too much, you know. So I feel like 2 hours is enough with the activity before you start repeating yourself and getting a little bit fed up with it. So I think sometimes having
Yeah.
and coming back to it is definitely whatever
Yeah.
needs.
I feel that the 2 hours is a really nice.
Yeah.
Some weeks it's felt a little long, to be honest with you. But I think as I've gotten used to the style and I've gotten into the style, it's not so long now. I'm just like, right, what can I do next? What can I do next? What can I do next? Whereas before I was like, well, now I've finished my work, what will I do? Whereas now I'm just like, what next? Yeah, oh, what about that bit of paper? I'm going to cover that bit of paper now.
I think it's really good to like challenge yourself as well and bring maybe if you're getting stuck for ideas, think about each week using it as an experiment. So each week bringing a new set of equipment to the table. What can I do with that?
Yeah.
Sometimes I do that, and sometimes I do stick to my old favourites because I know you probably know that I've got my favourite objects that I like to use. So sometimes I do actually stick with them. But I think as long as you're doing practical work and you're trying out new things one way or another, I think it's okay. Just
Well, you'll find a new favourite thing sooner or later. My today's favourite thing, and I'm absolutely delighted with it, Holly, is these three bottle tops joined onto my earbud thing, and I've just had a great. These are staying. These are not going anywhere. Might add to them. I might make 4 tire tracks. Woo!
no,
And
just feeding on from what you were on about before about tracks. Maybe a golf ball could be something that you could look into using. It makes
mhm,
track marks as well. It also reminds me of when we were talking about a journey and journey of the material and the journey that the artwork goes on when you start layering it and it changing over time. I think
mhm.
marks really represent the idea of movement as well. So I think that is a good material to use. It really use golf.
A golf ball might be nice. We stay quite close to a golf course. I might see if we go for a walk, I can find one. And you can usually find them at the edges.
I think I've got into printing as well a lot. So creating larger works and then printing on smaller materials.
Mm-hmm.
I also think I've got more into using different surfaces and really looking at the mark making as a process and then constructing a collage surface with different materials as another process. So, um, yeah, it's definitely got me thinking about new things to use and just really emphasizing the idea of using recycled materials and repurposing things and transforming them into art rather than just throwing them away. So,
Yes.
giving everyday objects a new life or a new purpose in a sense.
And also it means that your art making doesn't break the bank as well.
Yeah, that is very true. I think if you do start um getting lots of like A1 white card, depending on how big you work, you know, I've started. Well, I did start originally about getting A1 card and A2 card, and it was quite pricey actually. It was quite pricey. So I think
Yeah.
using packaging and using things like newsprint and brown paper and newspaper and bubble wrap can create some really nice textures. And really, I guess they just look different. You know, each piece isn't the same. You know, it's not all the same size and the same surface area. You've got different
Mm-hmm.
areas and different ways to do experiment on. So I think when you start to look at all your works, especially for me, when I start to look at all of my works in these past few weeks, I can definitely see a difference in terms of my material choice and the way that I've used masking tape to join them together. It's very DIY, it's very kind of practical, and it really emphasizes the idea of using things around you, um, and for it to be okay to look very DIY and to not look like a professional piece. I think that is okay.
Mhm.
What I wanted these workshops to be about, the idea of just experimenting with materials, and it's okay for it to not look like a proper art piece, because any material really can be art. When you start, when you apply the paint to the surface, you've made art. It's that process of doing and that toupee. What does toupee mean?
Mhm.
The idea of art making and what is a painting, what is a performance.
Yes. Yes. What is beauty, as they say, is in the art of eye of the beholder, art of the beholder, eye of the beholder.
I think I mentioned before, but in a sense, we're both creating or we're both performing in our own environments.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're performing to a camera in a sense. So again, what does that mean? And with me creating a piece, is it a painting? Is it a performance? What is it? And in what order does it go? So is it more of a performance than painting, or is it more of a painting than a performance? And also, is the work that I've just done a painting or is it a print? So again,
Ah, yes. Is it collage? Is it?
because it really gets you thinking about the finished outcome and what it is, and does it exist as a physical piece, or a photograph, or a video? And when I look at the photograph of the work, is the photograph separate from the work? So is the photograph an object of the work, or is the photograph just the work? So again, what is its status or its representation or its value? So what is it basically? So yeah, the idea of documenting work and status and the meaning of the work. So yeah, it really gets you thinking when you start getting more in depth about this stuff. It really gets you thinking about um what the work is. Is it a painting? Is it a print? Is it a performance? What have you just made?
So what I have just made, Holly, is I cut up one of these envelopes that has bubble wrap in it.
Yeah.
So it created this kind of effect. It's naturally fallen apart. And then I've done something on one surface, something on the other surface, which has then in itself created a slight print on the other surface. And I wish I'd used more paint now, and I might go back and put more on both of them. But I was thinking, my word, if I could get more of these, you could do that and then join them all together and make a kind of like a booklet kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely like a zine or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what a good idea.
Okay. Well, I want more of these. I'm not going to buy them. I'm just going to wait until they come through.
A booklet of textures or a booklet of mark making pieces.
Yeah. But well, both, because it's making marks as we've been doing for weeks, and it's using found objects as well. Wish I hadn't used that yellow though. Doesn't work for me so much. I could probably wash that off.
I'm at the stage, I think, now where I am using paints, just using leftover paints that I've got. I've got a little bit of each colour in my palette, so I'm gonna see what I can think of that.
What's going to come up? I'm probably on. Oh, I might have a wee look around on my last piece for today, actually. Yeah, it's quite prolific. I'm going to use this last piece of this to do a bit of printing. So I'm going to lay on some. Quite a lot of paint. Silver. There's a small chance that I might not make it next week, Holly.
Oh, no worries, that's fine.
My dad has a friend down Morpeth Way who he would like to go down and see, and he's not very well. His friend is not very well, and it's quite a challenge for my dad to get down there. So I'd agreed that I would take him down if necessary, and we're waiting to hear from the family what days would suit them. And I've just said to my dad, look, whatever suits you, whatever suits the family, I'll come down with you. I've just gone back to one of those lovely pieces of plastic that I had last week. I like it. You got any plans for this afternoon?
I'm going out with my dad for some fish and chips, I think, later on. So,
Sounds fabulous.
it's starting to get a bit cooler now, though. It was sunny when I started the workshop, and now it has actually gone a little bit duller. So, but yeah, no, I think that's what we're going to be doing this afternoon. And then I've got to sort out some images that I got of my sculpture for the Henry Moore project. So I think
Okay.
I'll be busy, busy doing that.
Got a lot of things going on all at the same time.
Yeah, indeed, I do. It's kind of hard to sometimes plan and work out, exactly what you're doing. But I think I always tend to plan what I'm going to do like a few days in advance, just so I don't miss anything, or I'm not, late to anything.
I love that I've got a diary to keep now.
Oh, yeah.
I love sitting with my diary, looking at it and going, oh, I've got all these lovely things to be getting on with. I must remember to do that, and I can't forget to do that.
I think it is exciting doing things again, and joining in with more things. For sure.
It's lovely being able to join and do more things. Although I'm going to leave these pieces to dry for the right space. So I'm in a tricky place. I'm meeting up with a couple of people later on, and the plan is to go for a walk. But there was also talk of going for something to eat, if there was anywhere that could take us. And we're blessed in Edinburgh. We've got a lot of places, and there is a likelihood that we could get in somewhere without booking.
Okay.
But I'm quite hungry, and I don't know whether to eat before I go out or whether to wait and see if we eat when we're out. I don't want to be spoiling anything. I don't know what to do with these. I don't know where to dry them.
I would have something light before you go out, and then maybe take a snack with you on your walk as well. Then if you don't go out, you always get some food.
You know what? That's a really good idea. I've got some Stoats porridge oat bars, which I love. So you're absolutely right. If I just have a little bit to tide me over the next hour and a half, and then if we don't decide to go for somewhere to eat, I've got a very sturdy snack that would see me through till tea time.
You've got a backup plan.
And that's a great idea.
Alright, I'm going to show you this piece that I've just done. This is even brighter than the one that I showed you before. But there we are. What do you think of?
Wow. Oh my gosh, look at the oranges and the yellows.
And I've got a lot of like lilacs in there, some pink that I actually mixed myself today. So
well done. I love the red and the blue, like bomb down the side there. That is brilliant. Oh, love it.
Again, just
love just the flow of it all. It just your eyes just drawn all over the place. And it's dripping.
And it is, just about dripping.
Yeah. You always give a little bit to gravity. You're a very generous artist. Okay. Holly, I think I might I'll call it a day today.
That's fine, don't worry.
Because I've made a big mess today, and I'm gonna have to clean up some of my materials today. I can't leave them like this, and I'm gonna have to clean up myself as well.
Oh dear, no worries. Well, thank you very much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed it today.
I had a great time today, and thank you very much. Absolutely fantastic. Keep up the good work, stay busy, enjoy your fish supper with your daddy. And I'll see you next week. If that changes, I'll let you know as soon as I know. Okay, so you can make plans yourself, and have a good week, Holly.
Well, next week I'm actually in the studio as well, so studio access, so that should be good. Yeah,
lovely.
Yeah,
Would you send me some photographs of your work from the art from the workshop today?
I'll send you some photos of the works. I'll do like a little um folder where I can include a few different pieces from last week as well. I'll send you a few photos of my uni work as well if you like. Some
That would be really nice. I would love that. That would be really nice.
how the journey has started into mark making.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, it's yeah, an absolute pleasure, Holly. Thank you so much.
So yeah, just let me know.
Okay, I'll see you next week.
See you later.